Yo, what's good guys, Ben Fire here back in the video, and today we're going to be bringing you guys another offensive scheme. You guys have been showing a lot of support on these, seeing these new off-meta type schemes that I've been bringing. And we got another one, the gun split offset. Now this one's interesting. The main reason we're running this is because it's in one of the really good playbooks that I've been liking recently. And we're just going to kind of add on to that scheme. So we're going to be in the Chargers offensive playbook. I really should have put this on my playbooks list that I kind of just uploaded. I really should have, because this playbook has it all. You have Y-off trio, really good formation. You have bunch, a pretty dang good bunch with a lot of these good plays in it. You have tight, of course. And then you move on, you got things like Trey Y flex, just really good stuff. You got like a pistol bunch. Under center, you got like a single back trade. It's just a really good formation. Wing stack, just one of the best playbooks in the game. So I've been rocking with that a little bit recently. We're going to be in this gun split offset today. This has a lot of really good stuff. This playbook, or this formation rather, is also in 3 other playbooks, including the Saints, the Balanced Run, and the West Coast playbook. There's also a gun split flex formation that's kind of interesting out of the run and gun playbook that has some new plays, but we like this a little bit better. The gun split flex actually does not have 2 running backs, has a tight end or offensive lineman in this spot, which is why I decided not to use it. So we're going to, go ahead, get straight into it with our audibles. Here's a look at our audibles. We got fullback inside. Main reason I like this is because you got 2 really good runs, fullback inside and this halfback cross buck, which is pretty much a power O. These 2 runs go hand in hand very effectively. Then I threw in the Z spot and the X dig. There's a couple of other good plays. PAF side is decent. You have some things like slot seam, which you guys can't see. It's on my face cam's covering it. That's a pretty good play. Shakes in the middle. That's a decent play as well. But we're mainly just going to go over those 4, kind of create a mini scheme, and let me know if you want to see a gameplay on this in the future, but let's get straight into it. Now we're going to start out with some of the ground game stuff. I really do like the combination of being able to run with either the fullback, which of course is going to be your running back here, A.J. Dillon, or being able to run with Aaron Jones. And you can really just see whatever side is favorable and run it that way. I really like the concept of that. Especially if you guys like running the ball, you will love this scheme because you can really just choose whichever side is more open and run the ball there and have success. You don't have to do weird things like flip your play or come out on the short side of the field. You can really just come out here, run the ball, be a little bit more patient. I don't know who our right guard is, but he must be trash. But yeah, man, it's a really good run. Just as far as it's concerned, you see how some of these blocks can develop really effectively. And again, it's a pretty balanced formation. So you're going to want to run the ball a lot, kind of balanced, 15 times run the ball, 15 times pass the ball. So you're not going to be dropping back 30 times. You're not going to put the ball on the ground 30 times. You're going to keep things pretty balanced. Of course, make sure you run the ball. Even if you're a pass-heavy player, run the ball at least a little bit to keep your opponents honest in that aspect. But yeah, man, this run's really good. I'll show you some motion things that I've liked to do to kind of throw your opponents off guard and also help with the blocking. So some things you can do is motion over one of these guys. I can actually motion Lazard kind of over. You see, you can motion him all the way across the formation, which is cool, which is something that someone might not expect. Can change the way things are blocked. That can open up things on the left. So one of my favorite things to do with this fullback dive is to motion Valdez-Scaling over. We actually do this for some of the passing setups. This will also generally help with the block because you, of course, are running into that side. If our center holds the block there, we have a pretty big gap. But yeah, going back off that, you could run the halfback power O or cross buck, and then you can actually motion this guy over. Now, the way that the defense is set up, you have a couple of guys rotating over, but this can kind of confuse the user and generally can open things up. Now, for whatever reason, these guys can't block at all. I don't know what's up with that, but you see the blocks are usually pretty good. We are able to break it out there. But yeah, man, you're going to be facing some better fronts against this. These types of runs, super good against 2-4-5 odd. You really just catch on to who he's using. So in 2-4-5 odd, he's either going to use one of these 2 linebackers. They'll be hovered. Usually it's going to be the one to the slot cornerback side, and you want to run right at the user in that case because it's going to be wide open. And you can really take advantage of that. But it's pretty good run plays. Again, if you want to see a gameplay, you want to see how I kind of do these in game, you can definitely check or let me know in the comment section. But that's going to be it for this cross buck. We'll show some more of the fullback dive because we didn't really talk about that as much. This fullback dive is interesting. Of course, you want to get 2 kind of really good running backs, 2 fast running backs. You don't want to have to put your fullback here. You want to get a Reggie Bush and an LT or someone else Chase Edmonds, Jonathan Taylor, some of those good running backs in the Ultimate Team right now. If you are using regs for this, some of the good running back combinations, Zeke and Pollard, of course, up there. Cook and Madison, some of those types of guys. Even this one, the Green Bay Packers, Jones and Dillon. Dillon's pretty good as a power back, so he can definitely work there. But you want 2 good running backs at least. Having a fullback here, having like a juice check, I wouldn't really recommend. I don't know where our right guard is either because he's getting instant shedded, but you see the fullback dive just against this front. Generally, he's getting more yards than our halfback cross buck, which you wouldn't really expect because you have an extra receiver on that right side. You have like a slot corner on that left side as well. I think the way the defense is set up, so it is interesting. Some of these things do kind of set up weird, but you see how the cutback is definitely open up. And just overall through the middle, it is wide open for us, so that's why you want to try both runs out. Don't just guess, but actually try out both runs against the same front and then start making your adjustments. You can start using motion, different things like that. Moving on, we're going to hop into our first play, which is Z-Spot. Z-Spot, of course, has this really good corner out from Valdez-Scantling. First thing we're going to do is just put B on a little streak. Now, with Aaron Jones, you can do a couple of different things. We're going to leave A.J. Dillon's route. Now, one interesting thing that you do want to catch on is that these icons are kind of flipped. Generally, you'll have Y on this left side of the field. Interesting enough, Y is going to be your right side running back, and R1 is going to be your left side running back. So those icons are a little bit different. That's something that you want to recognize. You could actually run this play stock. This check and release is not bad. You could also put Aaron Jones on a little out route. You can put him on a little option route. So you have a couple of different options as far as that is concerned. Here we got Adams. So you see how Aaron Jones is going to do a pretty dang good job pulling down those zones. Of course, our reads on the right side, we have some pretty simple stuff. We have a high-low between the corner out and A.J. Dillon. Of course, our streak with Allen Lazard is going to do a pretty good job of opening up Marquez Valdez-Scantling, as you see right there. Pretty much both guys just wide open there. I do like the way that this table route out of Z-Spot develops a lot. It kind of is slower, but it does open up pretty well. You see it's kind of slower, and just because he's kind of coming from an offset gun formation, he's actually running a little bit shorter, which opens him up. And whereas in certain other formations, those types of flat routes would be covered a little bit better by that curl flat. So that's your first setup. Again, with R1, you can put him on different things like little out routes, which we can throw that pass every single time. You guys know how good the running back routes are in this game, which is another reason that this formation is so good. You have so many good running back threats that you can do, so many combinations that you can create. Another one you can do is Y on a little out route like this if I wanted, if I like that a little bit more. Or we can, let's say we have to block a guy, he's sending a lot of pressure, we can throw Jones on this little out to the right. And these are really annoying to defend, and you could actually kind of cross both guys. You could put Dillon going to the left, Jones going to the right, just so annoying to play against. Some of the other things you can do is actually motion Marquez Valdez-Scantling over. You can kind of turn his corner into a post. I'm not the biggest fan of doing this because usually the way that your formation is set up, you're going to have 2 wide receivers to the wide side of the field, so when you motion him over, he's kind of going to the short side, but you can go a little drag, you can block Y, you can put RB on a little out, or maybe you wheel him, something like this. Could be a decent setup. You are going to need a lot of time to kind of step up and throw it to A, which he does get opened up there because of our good pocket presence, but you see he really didn't even cross the hash mark, the inside hash mark, so his route was generally undeveloped. So maybe if I'm going with that setup, we could actually go ahead, flip it, and then motion over. I would be fine doing that. That should also open up your wheel route maybe a little bit more. Again, you can motion Valdez-Scantling over like this. You can actually motion snap him if you didn't know, which is certainly an option you can do. You see how he's able to fit in right there, but since his corner out is a little bit slower, that break is slower, it kind of goes up more than it goes to the sideline. It's going to be a little bit difficult to kind of run that route combo. Now, another thing that I'd like to do is kind of use these wheel routes now. With the wheel routes, you're going to want to use the wide side one a little bit better. You notice how Jones is going to run all the way outside of the numbers, completely, to the sideline on the outside of Adams' route. But with A.J. Dillon, he's going to kind of run to right on the numbers. So he's going to be opened up. Flat zones will not defend A.J. Dillon's route. So if I wanted to create a combo, we create something basic like this. X on a little deep post, A on a slant, RB on a little out. And then we have A.J. Dillon. I want you to look at his route. He is wide open. That's stock cover 3, nothing special, and you see how deadly these wheel routes are. And that's a route combo that you can create out of any play. You don't need any of these special things. So that's a main reason I love these running backs out of the backfield, especially this formation, because you're always going to have one, going to that wide side of the field. So even if we flipped our play or we were on the right hash, we could put Jones on the out route. So once again, that particular route combo kind of looked like this. Just a little slant, little out route, little wheel, little out again. And then we have, of course, just a deep post. You see Aaron Jones is wide open. Dylan, of course, he gets wide open on that wheel route against cover 3. He also gets open against cover 2. The vert hooks will kind of take it away, but you can actually maybe fit it in late. That concept's also really good in the red zone, those little wheel routes. But let's move on to our last play, which will be the X dig. Now this play, we don't have as many concrete setups, but we just have a lot of routes that we can kind of use. So we'll start out by just blocking Y. We're just going to motion Marquez Valdez-Scantling over on his little drag route and just snap the ball kind of like this. Dylan, he gets in a pretty good spot. I do like the way that the deep post and the wheel route develop. Dylan, you see just wide open. Those deep posts do a really good job of pulling up flat zones, of course. Especially if the flat zone is coming from the top. If he's in a cover 2 shell but running some kind of a cover 3, that of course will work out for you. You can run that same play if you want to send Aaron Jones out on a route. Go ahead. You can throw him on a little out to the left. You see Aaron Jones. He's open all day on that. Bad swerve catch, but he's open every day, all day. You can throw that pass every single time. As far as some of the other things you can do, maybe we put Valdez-Scantling on a little slant. We put RB on a little out route, and then we block Aaron Jones. We put him on a backside wheel route, so you can run something like this, which the player does look a little bit weird, but it does kind of it is a little bit successful. I don't necessarily like the way that the slant and the in route kind of stack onto each other, so maybe if I wanted to run that kind of a setup, what we could actually do is create a little curl flat over here on the left. So we can go double out routes out of the backfield, little slant, little flat. We have curl flat on one side, we have a slant flat on the other, which you see we're able to fit in right there. Of course, your deep post going over the top of everything. So that's a concept that I like a lot. As far as some of the quick snap type setups out of this without motion, because you don't want to use motion for every single setup, we could put, A on a hitch, Y on a little out route, something like this. You have an in route, you have an out. That's just a decent basic setup. Again, you're not going to want to motion every single play, although I did show some motion for the run plays. You always want a couple of these quick snap setups. So again, just blocking that running back, giving yourself a little bit of extra protection. I'm not, against that. Of course, online you're more likely to see less of these coverages with 2 hook curl zones as we're seeing here against the computer. You're more so seeing the user take himself out of position, kind of help out on different things. So more of those in routes, hitches will be open. I can kind of go with this route. Something, if you didn't know, is you can actually motion A.J. Dillon over to the left side and create a spread. So we can kind of create a spread look. Maybe we go with a setup like this. You have a little out route, and then we turn him into a drag. So some of the motion stuff is cool. You see A.J. Dillon being a beast, breaking tackles for us, but that it does kind of give away that it might be a run, although I believe I can still run this cross block and motion him out. So maybe that's something you do. His blocking assignment is going to be weird, but that is a concept that you can actually go to. So you still can run the ball when you motion out the running backs, which is cool. As far as Aaron Jones actually goes, I'm going to try out. I haven't actually labbed this too much, but see which side can we motion him out. We can actually motion him to the right, create a little trips look on that right side, and we can kind of run him to the A.J. Dillon to that side. You see I was patient. I let Aaron Jones kind of pick up that block for us. But yeah, man, that's pretty much going to do for the video. If you enjoyed, drop a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel down below, and peace. I'm out of here.